Welcome to another edition of RCE. This is Brock Palen. Again, you can find us online at rce-cast.com. There's a nomination form. Also, take a moment to head out to iTunes and give us a rating there so more people are visible of us and find out more about the things that we're doing. You can also find all of our Twitter handles and blog accounts and everything else off the rce-cast.com website. You also find all the old back episodes there and everything else. This is the second time ever since the very first episode that I am going solo. Jeff unfortunately couldn't be here this time, but he will be back for the next show. We have with us today the group that's working on the PerfExpert performance optimization tool. Guys, take a moment to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Jim Browne, and I'm probably the oldest living settler in high-performance computing. And we have our two associates here, and here they go.
Hello, my name is Ashay Rane. I am currently a Ph.D. student at the Department of Computer Science here at UT Austin. And the way I am associated with this project was that prior to joining UTCS as a Ph.D. student, I was working on the PerfExpert project, handling most of the research and development along with Dr. Jim Browne.
Hi, I'm Leo Fialho, and I'm the last acquisition from James Browne's group, just to take care of the gap that I should make when he left to become a full-time student. And, well, basically, yeah, this and the future of PerfExpert and other tools that we are working here.
And I need to mention one more person who is not here, who was the person who with me really founded the project, and his name is Martin Bircher, and he is an associate professor of computer science at Southwest Texas State University now. And we started the project together several years ago.
Okay, so the project we're talking about today is PerfExpert. Can one of you give us a bit of a background of exactly what is PerfExpert?
Well, PerfExpert is a simple, comprehensive performance tool. Performance optimization has four stages: measurement, analysis and diagnosis, recommendation of optimizations, and implementing the optimizations. And right now, PerfExpert automates the first three of those four phases. And our goal when we started was KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. So, and you invoke it with one line, and it gives you recommendations on what you need to do to improve your program at the current time.
So why do you think the PerfExpert project is better than existing tools out there?
Well, what's better? Better is in the eye of the beholder. If you are an expert in performance evaluation and compilers and code structures, then there's no doubt that you can do very well with HPC Toolkit or TAO or IMP or any of the other many tools. If you're a domain expert and you need help, PerfExpert is for you. The other tools give you measurements, tell you where associate the measurements with the code, and then quit. Ashay, would you like to add to that?
As was apparent through many of our personal experiences while using these performance tools, is the case that these tools are really good at measurement, and they can give you a ton of information, but you need to have some sort of a background to be able to understand what is it that you should be looking for. Otherwise, you might just be lost in the myriad of information that's out there. And so in that sense, the thing that we really wanted to work on was building some kind of an analysis engine on top of these measurement tools. Given all of this data, instead of just showing it to the user as just a series of numbers essentially arranged in some row and column format, we wanted to find out if we could tell the user that, out of all of this is something that's really important, and convey it in a more intuitive sense. So one of the things that we do in the analysis that we do in PerfExpert is to break down the overall performance into multiple different categories. And when I say multiple, it's actually just a handful. It's just 6 of them. And through those categories, we basically aim to tell the user that, it is your, say, for example, it is your program variables or your memory, or say your floating point execution, which is currently a bottleneck, and this is how you can fix it. So it is the analysis where PerfExpert differs from many of these tools, and also the recommendation process and the suggestions for optimization.
I'll add something that is how come we happened to start this project in the beginning. In August of 2008, I went to a meeting of National Science Foundation computer users called TerraGrid. There was a panel there where all the people who have performance tools, IMP and Tau and HPC Toolkit, all gave presentations. There were about 100 and some odd people in the room, and when the time for questions came, I asked the audience, not the panel, how many of you have used any of these tools? 3 people raised their hand. Then I went around and asked why, and it said, it's too complicated. I don't know enough about architectures and compilers to use these tools. And then that set me off. And that's how it started.
So is PerfExpert actually another tool like Pappy or something like that that's reading hardware counters? Or it sounds like you're trying to make something that's a little bit more approachable for the average domain scientist, as you referred to?
Well, actually, it relies on some counters from, for example, it could be Pappy or it could be vTune or using the framework of HPC Toolkit. But actually, what it tries to give to the user is just a summary of, okay, this section of your code, we have a problem here, we have a bottleneck here, and we can work on that. And how we can work, and we give some recommendations. It's simple like that. The point is, we take some measures, we analyze them, and then say, okay, you can improve this code, this section here, and this other section with those recommendations. That's why it's really different than the other tools.
In other words, we address a different audience than the other tools. The other two, Pappy or HPC Toolkit or Tau, are wonderful and powerful systems. In fact, we depend on them. We depend on them to do our measurements for us. What we do is we add intelligence, human-like intelligence, knowledge of compilers, architecture, code segments, and things like that to the measurements. So our added value is not measurement. Our added value is knowledge. You can think of PerfExpert as a small, dedicated expert system which interprets performance measurements.
So are you getting information more like at the function level, kind of like a gprof type thing, or what kind of information are you actually reading back from these tools?
Yeah. So currently in the PerfExpert release that's out there, we build on top of the measurements that are provided to us by HPC Toolkit. And HPC Toolkit gives us measurements at the level of functions and loops. So that's our level of granularity that we have for our measurements and analysis.
Okay, so how about we expand on this a little bit? If, say I'm a domain scientist and I work on something and it's like, man, I'd really like to see why say I've got my prototyped version and I want to try to improve it. I run it through PerfExpert. What's the process for doing that actually?
Mm-hmm. So the first step would, of course, be to run your application with PerfExpert. Or, in fact, if we can go even a step beyond, even a step earlier than that, when you install PerfExpert, there are certain things that are done as part of the installation process to figure out certain details about your architecture. So, say some latencies to certain instructions or to your caches. So, really, the whole measurement process starts at the installation itself. But of course, this is all handled transparently. When you actually run your application with PerfExpert, your application is run in sort of a controlled environment, multiple number of times to read certain values of these performance events. So, for instance, how many cache misses occurred, how many instructions were executed, how many branches were taken or mispredicted, and so on. And all of these measurements are gathered